literature 1850 until 1800 period. The first, what exactly is realism? Realism is a literary genre that took place between 1850 until 1800. It concentrated on offering a perspective on what was going on at the time and providing insight into what was actually going on in society. And the second, what caused the rise of realism? Realism arose as an antidote to Romanticism, or a literary movement that focused around feeling, imagination, and institution. And then, realistic authors start to associate their works with truth, depicting life, society as they were. And the third, what happened during this time period? The first, the Civil War between the Confederate States of America and the Union concluded in 1865. And the second, through the 13th Amendment, slavery was abolished. And the third, the railroad infrastructure in the United States played a role in post-war industrial growth. And the fourth, natural resources such as oil, coal, and iron were found and eventually exploited. And then, unskilled labor, both native and immigrant, was plentiful and expensive. And then, as mass manufacturing was state and master industrialization was complete by creativity. That's all for me. Thank you very much.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Fatin. I wanna explain about literature realism. The first, shows everyday life as it is lived by actual people. Next, attempts to depict person in even objectively almost factually. Next, demonstrates civil war experience, depict a frontier life. Next, address issue of cities, slum, and labor. Next, realism finding significance in the mundane, such as working 19-hour days. Next, emphasis on a specific geographical place, sentimental or unrealistic. Next, regional dialect, speech or manners. Next, provides vivid description of landscape. Next, attempts to portray the spirit of life in diverse part of a rising nation. And the last, Bret Harte was a pioneer of local colors. Okay, realism characteristic. The first, realism grounded on real life circumstances to build its foundation in any field, including art and literature. Character is more essential than story and action. The selection is influenced by class science. It usually reflects the interests and ambition of the middle class. The work's theme is apparent and not figurative. Realism applies life reality. The last, literary writing that is realistic might not always be enjoyable to read. I think enough for me. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
So, the third major genre or style is ethnographic realism. Ethnographic realism is a literary style that tells the author's ethnographic findings as though they were firsthand. So it is like it narrates author's experiences or observations as if the reader were experiencing events firsthand. And for example, there are books, songs, theater, poems, and art. So next we are going to discuss about major writers or titles. Here we have 7 names with their titles of the literary works. First is Mark Twain with The Adventure of Huckleberry Finn. Second is Rebecca Harding Davis with Bits of Gossip. Third is Henry James with Daisy Miller. Next is Hamlin Garland with Under the Lion's Paw. Next is William Dean Howells with The Day of Their Wedding. Next is Tubals with The Quest of the Silver Fleece. And last is Stephen Crane with The Red Badge of Courage. So here, for example, we choose Crane's work, The Red Page of Courage. The Red Page of Courage is a novel of America's Civil War and published in 1985 and considered to be his masterwork because its perceptive depiction of warfare and of soldiers' psychological turmoil. The Red Page of Courage also has been called as the first modern war novel because it's uniquely for its time, and it tells about the experience of war from the point of view of an ordinary soldier. And his name is Henry Fleming. Henry is eager to demonstrate his patriotism in a glorious battle, but when the slaughter starts, he is overwhelmed with fear and flees in the battlefield.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Abigail Adriana from group Realism period. I will explain about how society portrayed within the Red Badge of Courage by Stephen Crane. Stephen Crane wrote the war novel The Red Badge of Courage. Stephen Crane had never been intimately involved in any kind of combat, and as a young writer, he didn't have a lot of understanding about it before writing The Red Badge of Courage. The fictitious narrative depicts what it would be like to be a young guy serving in the American Civil War. It offers you a sense of what people's thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are like during wartime. According to Crane, Henry Fleming's experiences as soldier in the field are represented through a comprehensive visual clue of impressions and picture that do an excellent job of portraying the discord and progress of war, as well as the troops' lack of belief in what will happen next. He depicts a squad of troops who are total novices. Each character in this narrative has a distinct personality that lends dimension to the battle drama. He shows life as it is, not as we imagine it should or might have been at the moment. The novel's popularity reflects the emergence of more modern American worldview. In today's world, we believe anything is true if it reminds us of what we read in newspapers or the media. In some respects, Crane's work may have signaled the end of the idealist ideals of wartime romance and bravery, as well as all the old-fashioned ways of honoring combat that had gotten increasingly artificial and exaggerated. I think that's all from me. Thank you.